Imagine waking up each morning only to find that your prized backyard eggs are mysteriously vanishing until you discover a high-powered HOA official is behind it all. Today, I'm sharing the wild, explosive revenge that not only stopped the theft but changed our entire neighborhood. I still remember the day everything changed in my quiet little neighborhood of Maple Grove Estates. It started like any other morning, the sun barely peeking over the horizon, the birds just beginning their chorus, and my heart full of hope as I approached my backyard chicken coop. My hens, Belinda, Rosie, and Mabel, had become my daily dose of joy, laying the freshest eggs you could imagine. I'd spent months creating the perfect sanctuary for them, right in my backyard, a small slice of paradise that doubled as a natural kitchen garden. But little did I know this sanctuary was about to turn into the battleground of an all-out war. For weeks, I'd been noticing something amiss. Each morning, as I made my way to collect the eggs, I'd count fewer than I'd expected. At first, I dismissed it as a fluke, a momentary lapse on my hen's part. But then, like clockwork, the numbers kept dropping and an uneasy feeling settled over me. I began to suspect someone was pilfering the eggs. I even started keeping a small notebook on my bedside table where I recorded the daily egg count, trying to pinpoint a pattern. One brisk autumn morning, as I was watering my garden, I mentioned the mystery to my neighbor, Charlie. Charlie's eyes narrowed, and with a knowing nod he whispered, "You know, I've seen Gloria from the HOA board sneaking around early in the morning. She's been very meticulous about enforcing our community rules." At that moment, my gut churned with a mix of disbelief and anger. Gloria, a longtime board member with a reputation for being the stickler for rules, was someone I had always respected from a distance until now. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, I set up a covert plan. The next day, I camouflaged myself behind the large oak tree near my coop, phone in hand, ready to record any unusual activity. As the clock struck 6 a.m., I saw a figure in a crisp business outfit approaching my coop. It was Gloria. She moved with a sense of urgency and purpose, carefully opening the coop's door and tucking several eggs into a discreet bag. My heart pounded in my chest as I quietly recorded every moment, every furtive movement. When Gloria finally spotted me, her face flushed with embarrassment and her eyes darted around nervously. "I'm just doing my duty," she muttered, clutching a crumpled piece of paper that looked official, a notice of violation stating that my coop was in breach of some new, mysterious HOA rule. That was the moment it all clicked. Gloria wasn't there for any community safety or aesthetic reasons. She was stealing my eggs for her own personal gain, and worse, using my little haven as a pretext to push her own overreaching amendments. The new rule claimed that no residential property could host any form of livestock, and it was passed with barely any notice or community input. My beautiful coop, which had been designed with care and attention to every detail, was suddenly deemed a threat to community standards. I was faced with an impossible choice: either dismantle my sanctuary or fight back against an unjust system. The idea of giving in never sat well with me. So, after a sleepless night of research and reflection, I hatched a plan that was equal parts creative and audacious. I rummaged through my craft supplies and found a set of decorative ceramic eggs meant for art projects. An idea sparked: if Gloria was so intent on taking my eggs, why not give her something to remember? I decided to rig these fake eggs with a harmless but dramatic twist, fill them with washable blue dye, and seal them carefully. The goal was simple: when she stole one, it would explode on contact, leaving her with a visible, unforgettable mess. I spent the entire day preparing my trap. I drilled tiny holes in each ceramic egg, filled them with just the right amount of dye, and sealed them meticulously. With a mixture of excitement and apprehension, I placed these booby-trapped eggs right in the nesting boxes while carefully hiding the real eggs in a secret, safe spot. I told myself that sometimes you need to stand up to bullies with a bit of unconventional genius. The following morning, I braced myself. I had the security camera rolling, and I watched from a safe distance as Gloria made her usual early morning rounds. My heart nearly stopped as she reached into the coop. Then it happened: a soft click, a small explosion of vibrant blue dye, and Gloria's meticulously styled hair and pristine blouse were suddenly a canvas of chaotic blue. The shock on her face was priceless. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow down as she stumbled back, her eyes wide with disbelief and rage. I couldn't help but let out a triumphant laugh, though I quickly stifled it as I recalled the potential fallout. The next few days were a whirlwind. Gloria, embarrassed and furious, began ramping up her tactics. She called an emergency HOA meeting, plastering flyers around the neighborhood that painted my coop as a health hazard and a menace to our property values. The flyers were filled with exaggerated claims, and I could feel the tide of public opinion beginning to turn against me. Not one to be defeated, I decided it was time to take my case to the people. I created a website titled Save Our Backyard Haven where I posted not only the security footage showing Gloria's theft but also detailed evidence of how the new amendment had been passed without proper notice. I included testimonials from neighbors who had experienced similar overreach, stories of missing tomatoes, mysteriously borrowed lawn tools, and even a few misdirected mail packages. The website was my rallying cry, a digital town square where the community could see the truth behind Gloria's overzealous enforcement. Within a couple of days, the response was overwhelming. Supportive texts, emails, and even old handwritten notes started pouring in from residents who shared my frustrations. Neighbors who had once been silent now stood up and spoke out against the oppressive tactics of the HOA board. One elderly neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, even admitted that Gloria had been pilfering from his garden, a confession that turned the entire community against her. The day of the emergency HOA meeting arrived with palpable tension in the air. I walked into the community center with my laptop and folder of evidence clutched tightly. The room was packed. I could sense that many were there not just to listen but to demand accountability. As the meeting began, the board president, Mr. Thompson, tried to steer the conversation towards the alleged health hazards of my coop. But before he could even finish his opening remarks, I stood up, connected my laptop to the projector, and played the damning footage. The room fell silent as everyone saw Gloria sneaking into my property day after day under the guise of rule enforcement. Gloria's face turned ashen as murmurs rippled through the crowd. I calmly began to recount the details, how the new amendment banning backyard chickens had been passed without the required 30-day notice, how my coop had met all health and safety guidelines, and how her actions had not only been a breach of trust but a violation of my property rights. I spoke with the steady confidence of someone who had spent years honing the art of storytelling, connecting each point with a personal touch that resonated with everyone in the room. As I wrapped up, one by one, neighbors stepped forward to share their own experiences of being wronged by the board's heavy-handed tactics. Even some board members whose loyalty to Gloria had previously seemed unwavering began to question the validity of her actions. Mr. Thompson, looking more troubled by the minute, announced that the board would be putting the new amendment on hold pending a thorough review of the proper procedures and an investigation into the board's conduct. Just when I thought the battle was over, Gloria stormed out of the meeting, vowing revenge and promising that this was far from the last anyone had seen of her. But the damage had been done. The community, now united and emboldened, began to push for changes that would protect the rights of every homeowner. In the days that followed, several board members resigned, and a new election was called to replace those who had supported Gloria's overreach. As for me, the experience had transformed my outlook on community living. I was even approached by the new board president who, after seeing the support I had galvanized, asked if I would consider joining the board. He said, "We need someone who isn't afraid to stand up for what's right, someone who knows the value of a united community." It was an unexpected honor, and though I hesitated at first, I eventually accepted the offer, determined to ensure that no one else would have to endure such injustice. Looking back now, every morning when I collect eggs from my now quiet, secure coop, I'm reminded of the power of standing up for yourself even when the odds seem stacked against you. The explosive blue dye incident wasn't just a clever prank, it was the spark that ignited a movement, a testament to the fact that creativity and courage can bring even the most entrenched power structures to their knees. In a way, Gloria's relentless pursuit of control forced me to find my own voice, and in doing so, united an entire community. And so, what began as a mystery of missing eggs evolved into a full-blown revolution against tyranny, a modern-day David and Goliath story where a few clever ideas and the support of good neighbors made all the difference. Even though Gloria warned that I had no idea who I was dealing with, I learned that sometimes the fiercest battles lead to the most rewarding victories, not just for oneself but for an entire community. Every day, as I savor a fresh egg with my morning coffee, I'm grateful for the day I decided to fight back, for it taught me that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a determined heart and a little bit of ingenuity can change everything.